Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel. And today we're looking at a brand new product, and that is Memory Master or Memoraid by Rawlins, a memory based effect that shows that you have incredible memory skill. Is this good? Is it not? Let's find out right after the intro. Let's roll it and get straight into the review. So you've decided to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Memoraid. So what is this effect? This effect is essentially a collection of tricks and routines that you can do with a deck of memory cards in order to show to your spectator that you're able to have an incredible memory or just to read their mind. Now, unfortunately, I do not have anyone with me here to perform this effect for, but I can show you just briefly one of the phases that you can do in one of the tricks. So you would essentially have these mixed up by the spectator, just like this. They're going to cut a small portion. Let's say they cut around this just for the sake of the review to make it a bit shorter. And then they're going to place these in a grid, just as so. Normally, they would do this while your back is turned, right? So your back would be normally turned. When they do this, they can complete their grid here, just as so. So your back would be turned. While they do all of this, you then tell them, look, you're going to turn around and memorize everything just like this. Then they're just going to take a random one and turn it over. I'm just going to do it like this. It's going to be messy because I can't see. But normally they would do that. Your back is turned over and tell them, look, I'm going to turn around and see which one you got. Just like that. It was 2, 2, 2 was the dice. The dice is the one that you turned around. And that is, of course, the dice. So that's one thing that you can do with these cards. Part of a larger routine. I'm going to explain to you all of the routines, but it's essentially memory demonstration routines. For example, you can also do something like I'm going to do it like this. You can place them on the table. I think I got all of them. I think I got them all memorized. Now, again, I'm going to do it randomly so I don't see. So they would turn over 2 of them. For example, they will shuffle them to mix you up even more in your mental snapshot that you got. So just like this. And then you tell them, look, I'm going to try and see the 2 that you got. The boat and the sun. The boat and the sun is the ones that you went for, and that is exactly the boat and the sun. So you can do a lot of memory stunts like this, or if you want, you can really just do something like this as well. I said I wasn't going to do performances, and here I am performing this for you. You could do, for example, something like you have the box, you have them take, for example, I don't know, let's say this one, they place it inside of the box without you looking, and you tell them, look, what I'm going to try and do is memorize all of the cards that I have here, and by that, I'm going to be able to determine which one is there, and I'm going to do it very fast. It's going to happen, you know what, I'm going to do it like this. The house. I think it's the house, and then you would reveal inside of here is, of course, the image of a house. So you can do a lot of memory demonstrations like this. You can string them up together. You can, you can make them a routine. You can make them effects, but some of them already provided to you, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about right now. So where do you get this? How much does it cost? And what do you get? So you can get this directly from Rawlins himself. If not, you can get it from ALAKAZAM Magic, which is where I got mine, with the discount code down below if you're so interested. If not, I do know they have this at Vanishing Ink and at some local magic stores as well, so you can check your own. This costs $49.99 USD, which is around 70 Canadian dollars. And what you get with your purchase is, one, you get a tutorial that is around an hour 30, I believe it's an hour 25 minutes, which goes over a few routines, how to use the deck, how it's designed, and how to use this as an actual memory game, how to use it as an actual game, and has to make routines and some additional routines as well. So it goes over how to use this as a mentalism prop to do drawing duplications, name reveals, or stuff like that, or how to use this as an actual memory game, okay? Then you also get your box, which is a very nice box right here. It fits all of your cards beautifully. It really looks like it's an actual box from an actual game, and apparently it actually is. So Chris says that this is an actual game that exists. I haven't seen it in Canada, but it probably exists in the UK. So yeah. Then you also get these, which are your Memory Master instruction cards. These are 2 routines that you can do with the with the game. So you can tell them, look, we're going to play this game here and I'll show you here these different challenges. So the first one is cut off a group of images in less than 10 seconds. Remember the sequence of color versus non-colored. Let's try that challenge. You'd have the spectator mix the cards, cut a few, and then you'd remember the colored versus non-colored, etc., etc. That's the ultimate memory test routine. Then you also get another one, whereas, for example, the spectator is going to take 5 cards from the deck. He's going to place them here. You're going to have 3 seconds to memorize them. He's then just going to place one to the side, mix the other ones, and then you can tell them that the one he took out is the ice cream. Then he's going to add 5 cards, 5 cards, 5 cards, and you're able to show that you're able to do this constantly without any issue. Then there's also my favorite routine, which is the one with the grid. Essentially, they place the cards in a grid. You remember them. They turn one over. You're able to remember it. You then do it again. They turn over 2 cards, but this time they put all the cards in a pile and they shuffle them and you place them in a fan and you immediately reveal them what they are. Then the third phase is you ask them to take a card from the rest of the remainder of the cards that were not in play, add it, and then you're going to be able to find the odd one out. And then you tell them, look, at the start you place the card inside of the box. Let me take the other card that are left that we haven't used. And if I just do this and knowing this, I know that that card is that. So that's my favorite routine. It's the easiest to do, and I think it's the most engaging and the most fun, and that is provided to you as well in the instructions. But of course, apart from the box and that, you get your cards, and the cards are pretty nice, just like this. They're colored, uncolored, they have words on them, long words, short words, they're very nice, and they're also marked. So the cards are marked in multiple ways for multiple things. So you can know whether or not the card is colored or non-colored. You can learn if the card has a long word or a short word, and you can also learn if the card's identity. So any card that's picked, for example, this one, I can immediately know that this one is the sun. With minimal, like the peak of the marks are incredibly easy, and the cards are pretty good. The stock is a bit thin, but they're not plastic either. But they do feel very nice and they handle very nice. They really feel like game cards. So that is what you get with your effect. Knowing this, how easy or how hard is this? So what is the difficulty of Memoraid? Well, let's be honest here. Everything is marked and given to you, which means that it is incredibly easy. However, in some of the routines, it is much better if you actually play the game. And Chris advises that as well. He tells you, look, use this as an actual training tool for yourself. For example, one of the tricks is when they cut and you remember colored versus non-colored, Chris Rawlins actually remembers it by mental. And what's really nice is that when he does that, and he does the phase where he separates them, he's looking in the sky, right? So he separates them and he's looking in the sky because he's actually using his memory to kind of clock what they are. Which means that when he gets into the harder part of the routine where he does glimpse at the backs and look for the markings, it feels inconspicuous because at the start he's always looking up. And he tells you, for example, even if you're trying to do, for example, a sequence of multiple cards, remember the first 5. Really mentally remember the first 5. Look in the air when you're doing the first 5, and then you can tell them, see, this is hard. And then you start looking at the markings in conversation. So you can make this a bit harder by making it better. So yes, you can actually have to memorize certain patterns if you want. It makes the trick harder, but it looks 10 times better, 10 times more fooling. And I'll be honest, when he showed you the live performance in the tutorial and he was doing the thing when he was looking in the air, I was like, how the hell is he doing this? What? Even I was fooled and I owned the product and I knew how it works. So if you put in that extra mile to actually do it as a memory stunt for some of the phases, because some phases are impossible to do as a memory stunt because they're way too difficult for anyone to do, or as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so you can make them a bit harder, but if you want, everything is given to you on the cards, so you're able to do it really easily. So I would say this is from beginner all the way to intermediate, depending on how easy or how good your memory is in order to do that. But don't worry, there's no stacks involved here. Every single routine is a shuffle deck. So every single routine is a shuffle deck. There's no stack here. If you want to, you could memorize a stack, false shuffle in the first phase. You know, I don't know today I'm just like kind of freelancing and doing like this if it was a jam session. But anyway, you could have a stack of a few cards at the top, false shuffle, do the first phase where you're looking in the air with your stack of remembered cards, give everything to them, have them shuffle, and then move into the rest, and you've cemented that kind of principle of you being able to remember things incredibly before moving in. Just a tip. I believe he doesn't tell you that in the tutorial, so that's my gift to you. Moving on now to practicality. So how practical are these cards? To perform this effect, you're just going to carry everything inside of your box. So your carrying capacity is literally just the box. So it's not something that fits into your pocket necessarily, but it could fit into a top pocket, a jacket pocket, or anything. This is the space that it requires for you to be able to perform it. In terms of table space, you will need a table for most of the routines. If not 90% of them, you will need a table in order to place cards down, remember them, etc. You will need a table, even though there are some that can be done standing up. In terms of repeatability, this can be repeated. You can do different routines at any point. In terms of reset, there's no reset. As I mentioned, everything is shuffled deck in use at every single point in time. In terms of angles, can be done 360. And in terms of inspectability, the cards cannot really be inspected. If you give the full deck to someone and they're actively looking to see if the cards are marked, they will find the marks rather quickly. I personally found 2 out of the 3 marks before even looking at the tutorial, just from a quick examination of the deck, because I had imagined the cards are marked. So I found 2 out of the 3 almost in an instant. I didn't know what they meant, but I did see that there was differences between the cards from the first time I inspected the deck, but I didn't know exactly how you get the symbol on them. But I think if an eagle-eyed spectator is looking for them, he will find it. So I don't think you're going to arrive at that point if you manage your audience well and you do this right. If you're not looking at the cards like this when you're performing, they won't suspect it. But I wouldn't let a spectator look actively at the cards for too long. Where would you perform this effect? So where would you perform Memoraids? Memoraids is something that you can do close up or parlor or even on stage if you want. I feel it could play very well in different scenarios, very well in casual settings or in other settings, but you will need a table. For most of these, you will need a table to do the memory stunts. And if you're buying this, you're buying this for the memory stunts. If you want just a picture deck in order to do routines with a picture deck, there are other routines or in other decks out there that can allow you to do that. Not as easily as this, but I do think that the value of this is to do it as a memory stunt, because I feel those routines are really well built and they're really fun and they're really interesting for both you and the spectator. But yeah, this can essentially be done in a lot of settings without any problems. Having said all of that, what are the positives and negatives of this effect? Let's start out with the negatives. There's only 2 negatives. One of the negatives is the same thing that I said about predictable, is even though the cards are of a beautiful stock and they handle really well, I think they are still a bit too thin. And I think that if you workhorse this a bit too much, the cards could crimple up and dump on you rather quickly, depending on your performance environment and how hard or how, you know, if you ask someone to shuffle the cards on the table like this, if they go a bit too hard, then, you know, I feel these cards are going to get damaged faster than other cards. That's just my opinion. I still have to road test them, but it's the same complaint I did there and the same here. They handle, they look, they feel beautiful and elegant, but in kind of the workhorse environment, I don't know how well they're going to last if you have some clumsy spectators or a venue where some people had a bit to drink. I don't know if, I feel these are going to get a bit crimpled a bit too fast. And the second negative that I have regarding Memoraid is that if ever someone suspects you of using marked cards, I feel they're going to find the marks, or at least some of the marks, too easily. And if they're able to find 2 out of the 3, they know they're marked. It spoils everything, right? Even though you're going to be like, oh, but how can you tell me exactly how I know which one is the lighthouse? I mean, they're going to be like, oh, but I still found 2 of them, so you must know something about the this, right? So that is something to keep in mind. However, what are the positives? One, the box and the trick and everything is incredibly designed. The tutorial is well designed. The cards feel great. The images on the cards are great. The design of the routines and the effects are good. The multifacetedness of this, because you can use it as a drawing duplication, as a mental mind reading, as you can use this as a one ahead. You can use this as a mental demonstration. You can use this as a memory game. You can even use this as an actual game. So it's multifaceted and it's very good in that regard as well. Compiling all that I've said, would I recommend Memoraid and what do I give it out of 10? Would I recommend it? I think that if you like what you saw here and you like what you saw in the trailer and you like what you saw in the ad copy, you will not be disappointed. It delivers on exactly that, and there's multiple ways that you can use these cards. So yes, I do recommend Memoraid if you're a mentalist or a magician looking to add some memory gains into your performances. So what do I give it out of 10? I'm giving Memoraid an 8.25 on 10. It's good, I'm gonna use it, but I do still have some gripes with it, and because of the venues I perform with and type of performances I do, I won't use this extensively, but I still will be using it at certain points in time, which is why I'm giving it over an 8, which is an 8.25. Again, thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you all in my next reviews. Have a good one, and bye.